Hello and welcome everyone to the August 14th edition of the SIG ContribEx meeting. As usual, a reminder that we operate under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. To kick things off here, we like to offer an opportunity for the folks on the call to introduce themselves, totally optional. It's for the benefit of anyone on the call who might not know each other well, and also for folks on YouTube who might not know you. I will kick things off. I'm Caslin Fields, and I am a co-chair of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience, which is the focus of this meeting. The charter of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience involves doing things for the project that contributors need in their experience as contributors. That includes sub-projects like GitHub management, handling the contributor website, contributor comms, moderation and media, and we will go through all of our sub-projects and do updates on them today. It's kind of the main thing that we do in this meeting. And my pronouns are she, her. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves?
I am Sylvester Carolan. I'm a contributor on this group. Been here a couple of months, I think now. Just trying to get involved in a bit of mentoring and some other bits and pieces. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Would anyone else like to go? Totally optional.
Sure,
Hey everyone.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Hey everyone, my name is Arvind. I've been involved with SIG ContribEx for a while now. I'm the comms shadow for KCSNA and the blogging shadow as well under Federico. And it's pretty nice to be here. Thank you.
Might as well go. Hi, I'm Noah. I've been in and out of this group for the last 8 years, I think. I can be summoned by saying the words non-code 3 times into a mirror, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
Anyone else? All right then. We will move on into our agenda then. This is a very casual call, so if at any point you would like to pop in and do a self-introduction or ask a question or anything, please do. I guess a reminder that this meeting is recorded. I kind of mentioned that earlier, so so if you pop on verbally, you'll be recorded, and you're also welcome to use the chat. So our notes doc is in the chat, and I am also sharing my screen today. We're trying out that format. One last housekeeping item before we dive into the agenda. Would anyone be willing to volunteer as note taker today? The job of the note taker is to follow along with the discussion that's happening in the meeting and to take notes on it so that if someone was not able to attend the meeting, they can check out the notes and get the gist of what we discussed. Would anyone like to take on that role today?
I would be happy to do it.
Thank you, Arvind. And as I like to say every time, it is kind of a team effort. It's really good to have one person who's actively trying to do it, but folks will also kind of hop in with things that they particularly got out of it. So thank you for taking it on. And with that, let's dive into our agenda. Starting off, let's talk about events. Mario, you are the lead of the co-lead of the Contributor Summit. Would you like to things out there?
Yeah, so we had on the meeting on Monday, we adjusted the timetable so that session slots are 35 minutes instead of 30 minutes to give folks more time to traverse in between rooms so they can have more time on this. We eliminated a half an hour slot for this so that we don't run too late into the evening. CNCF forwarded us some options for Swag staff, staff Swag, and yeah, Josh took this thankfully over. Besides this, the CNCF also started looking for an evening event location. And registration is growing slowly but steadily. I think that especially after notifications for KubeCon, except came out, actually will be out today, as people now know if they can travel or not. And basically that's it.
You cut out a little bit there, but I think you were just saying that KubeCon schedule comes out today, so people start solidifying their schedules. So we expect Reg to go up.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. And then you also mentioned that there's work going on to figure out the social venue. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. So CNCF is looking for venues.
Add that into the notes. Any questions or comments, discussion about the contributor summit that will be held at KubeCon North America?
Where is Reg right now?
Mario, do you know?
Don't 27.
That's not
So,
bad
yeah,
for
no,
before
I
the
mean,
schedule
that's
comes out.
pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, we just had the announcements. Let's see, main track and maintainer track. So I expect more people will sign up now. We actually have 7 responses to the CFP as well. So we did get something by starting early.
I'm also adding in a note in the notes that comms will go out tomorrow to remind folks to register the day after the schedule comes out. Any other questions, comments, discussion about Contributor Summit? Alrighty, we'll move on to the next item in the list then, which is mentoring.
It's me, right? So yeah, I've actually had a look at a lot of material out there. I saw somebody called Paris, who I've never met, used to do that. She's actually created a lot of material that we already have out there, so which is really cool. So she's actually got a nice playbook, if you like, of steps to take for mentoring. So I have a call with her tonight, speak to her about lessons learned and what we can do better. And I've downloaded all of that to my GitHub, and I'll start making changes and uploading it. I did have a question on the notification that we're going to be sending out to the SIG leads. Do we have a central area on Google Docs or something where we store and collaborate on documentation, or is it all on GitHub?
If you want like Google Docs, there is a SIG ContribEx repo or folder in Google Drive that I can get
generally
you.
Depends on the content, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is just an email out to folks. I want to draft it so that we're all on the same page with what's going out. So it sounds like the appropriate place for that is on the docs. Could you send me that, or send me a link to it, or something?
Yeah, let me
Great.
dig it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either that or ping me on
work.
Slack so that I remember to do it.
Right. She did some great work. Paris was really a lot there,
Yes.
a lot of material there.
Yes, she did.
She kind of put Kubernetes on the map. So yeah, I think that's.
Yeah. Chris and I were laughing as you said, this person named Paris that I've never met before. Paris is GOAT. Paris made this whole thing.
I know, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, I was very impressed. Yep. Yeah. Looking forward to speaking to her, actually.
Very excited for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I considered saying that on Slack last night, but I didn't know if you would understand what I meant if I said Paris is GOAT. Not sure how common that vernacular is, so but Paris is GOAT.
Okay, I'll ask my daughter what that means.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Usually it means game of all time, but it can also mean I don't know how to describe it in this context. So
The greatest of all time. Yeah.
greatest of all time. There we go. That's it. Paris's goat. So I'm very excited for you to
Okay.
talk with her. So you're looking at creating an email, and you're talking with Paris about existing material. That sounds like some excellent progress.
Yeah, and I'm going to, I had a look at the group mentorship page, and again, that Paris created, there's a lot there. So I'll probably create another version of that, and after speaking to her, and then do a PR and get it up for review for everybody. See what we think.
Love it. I also kind of want to mention our other project here in the mentoring, the new contributor orientation meeting project. So Sylvester, myself, Mario, Arvind, Sandeep have been working on developing a slide deck that we want to use to run a monthly meeting, which will be held twice for 2 different time zones. And the idea is for it to orient potential new contributors in the community to say, here's how the community is structured. Here's where you are now. Here's how you can go up. We have the contributor ladder in there. And also here's how you find work. And here are some tips for contributing. So there is a draft deck. I shared it with the chairs and tech leads this week. I assume it was shared in the APAC call as well. And I need to set up an email to share it with them further. We're still solidifying the deck, and then we want to share it for wider review. I don't know if we feel like it's ready for wider review yet at this point. Pretty close, though. But that is.
This,
go ahead.
sorry, Casey, is this deck going to be used to present KubeCon, or is it going to be like a handout? The reason I ask is the material on the deck, can it be dense, or can you?
It'll be used monthly in a
Okay.
Zoom call. So this is not intended for KubeCon, though we may use parts of it for the ContribEx maintainer track, because a lot of it comes from that, actually. But the intention is for this to be a fairly standard deck with like speaker notes and everything.
Mhm.
And we also were discussing this week that we want to create a like a handbook on how to run this meeting, with things like make sure that you've seen one of these meetings before. And then I'm thinking maybe we say that we recommend sticking to the speaker notes for the slide deck, because the primary component of these meetings should be the Q&A. So we just need to get through the baseline content, and then folks can ask questions about it. So we'll probably create a handbook in the mentoring area of GitHub, and we're working on solidifying that slide deck.
Great.
And we hope to run the first one of these at the end of August, or possibly the very beginning of September.
Can we basically potentially settle for a date in this meeting, like now? Because this would the end of August, if I look at the calendar, we have next week, which is basically the APEC meeting would be happening, and the week after is the last week of August. So if we want to have it in the last week of August, we should fix a date.
Indeed.
I would be happy to run the APEC meeting for the first edition, or whatever, for the first few editions. And my suggestion would be 9. Give me a second. 9 a.m. Central European time, which would convert to EST time 12:30. So it would be roughly around noon in India.
That works for me. I'm thinking for the US time zone one, maybe Tuesday morning. Tuesday the 27th.
Let me double check.
At 8 or 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Then I would basically do the same. So I would do the Tuesday, the 27th at 9 a.m. so that we would basically have it on the same day. The
Cool.
APEC
So the
one would be just is earlier, and
Okay.
then in the for the European evening it would be.
And this is for that monthly meeting, right? Where you're going to present the deck.
For
Yeah.
the first edition of it, yes.
When will the deck be finalized?
When we decide it's ready.
Okay.
It'll be finalized shortly after we end the program.
Yes.
Right.
I like that
Yes.
answer, Josh. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share the link to the deck. We might as well, I guess, get more feedback on it. Plus, a lot of the folks in here are already familiar with it or interested in these kinds of things. So let's go ahead.
I mean, we for the first because what Josh wrote in the chat for the first edition, I would just settle for a date, and then once we figured out the amount of attendees or something like this, we could switch to every last Wednesday morning, or every last Wednesday of a month or something like this, so that it's on a regular base. But I think that we should just get started, and then we can figure out if we need to move it because people can attend it better or what the feedback is from people.
Yeah, we'll learn more by just starting it than we will by talking about it. So I shared the link to the slides in the chat as well as in the notes. Please do feel free to go ahead and look through that and provide any feedback that you have. There are active comments, and do note that the help wanted sections, we are awaiting feedback and input from SIG chairs for that. So if you are involved with groups and you think there's something there, please pester people to update the deck. It has been shared with the chairs in the meeting. So there's a place where they kind of know about it. Definitely need to send out an email to the leads group though. Cool. Any questions about the new contributor orientation concept or mentoring? And the idea of this new contributor orientation meeting is that it should be very formulaic and should be relatively easy to pick up. I think the requirements for running one are going to be like, you understand the community fairly well, probably have org membership, and have been to at least one meeting. Probably. And then you'll have responsibilities around talking with the SIG chairs, making sure that the help wanteds are up to date and those kinds of things. But the idea is for people to be able to pick it up and run with it relatively easily. Cool. Let's move on then to comms before Chris has to drop off the call. Anything you want to mention in comms?
We've got a number of blogs in flight right now.
Oh man, so many.
So many, right? There are 2 in review for SIG scheduling. It looks like SIG API machinery spotlight went out last week, which is awesome.
Not too many, but there are many.
There are many. Yeah, like the in progress section is quite big. Like a steering spotlight, a SIG UI spotlight, Kate SIG Infra, SIG Arch. Yeah, you name it, they've got a spotlight coming. So
it's actually making me a little bit nervous about sharing that opportunity at the new contributor orientation meeting, because we were starting to realize that we've done a lot of SIGs recently. There are only 24 SIGs. We haven't done any working groups yet, but I think one of those has already been claimed. So we're doing a thing right now to try to figure out exactly what's been done and what hasn't been done, and to create a list of claimable items. So we need to get that done before we have that meeting. But there's also a lot of flexibility in that project where we can do sub-projects, we can do specific projects that SIGs are doing. So it's fairly flexible, but yeah, that is a thought that I had.
Ideas are welcome. But yeah, we're in the process of finalizing some Kubernetes IO guidelines around social for everybody. We also need to finish the buffer access audit at some point, which reminds me, I was supposed to schedule a meeting with you at some point, Caslin.
That feels like the constant state.
So yeah, all good at comms, just plugging away right now.
I meant to send out something on social media yesterday to celebrate the release, aside from the automatically scheduled social media post, but I did not get something done, so I guess I'll try and
really
do that
busy
today.
for me too, so yeah.
Yeah. Social media needs some help. I need to work on that.
I think we all do. AI to read our brains and draft tweets would be great.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's no way that could go wrong.
No, absolutely no way that would go wrong.
The one thing for comms.
Yes.
So an idea I suggested a few weeks ago. It's pretty rare that any member of the LWKD team is able to attend the Friday morning meeting. And so something that I suggested was that it would be great if the comms team could get in the habit of dropping messages for the week in the notes for the Friday morning meeting. So messages that in general we want to get out next week, so we can make sure we pick them up for LWKD, and that would also be helpful for anybody who can't make the meeting. I wanted to bring that up again.
So the ask is things we discuss in the meeting. If something's for LWKD or could be for AWKD.
If something is a contributor message that is going out this week in other channels, that make sure that gets in the notes. Have a section basically that says messages of the week. And that'll make it much easier for us to pick those up for LWKD and for anybody else working in comms in other areas.
I like that idea. It might also help with the social media issue.
Yeah, like we should just have messages the following week or whatever, since it's on Friday. Messages of the week, maybe. But yeah, it's just a template update basically at that point.
I like that
obviously
idea.
Filling it in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Josh. Appreciate that.
We will work on implementing that this week.
Find our notes and I'll fix the template.
Yeah, thank you. That'll be great. Any
I
other
have
questions, comments? Go ahead.
I have a question that might be tangential, and we might want to save it to the end. Something that I think Josh brought it up a couple weeks ago as well. Where are we standing on still being on X/Twitter?
Yes. We have done an analysis, and more than 80% of our audience is on X.
More than 90%.
90%. Sorry, Jesus.
More than 90%.
More than 90%
like 99%,
of our audience.
98%, I think.
It is so overwhelmingly in use. I mean, we could obviously discuss it further, but until some of the other networks get some more traction, it makes little sense for us to stop at this point. And yes, I am very cognizant of everything going on there, and I would love to be 100% done with Twitter. I tried to do that myself, but between the project and work, that's not feasible for even me. So yeah, it's a conundrum, sadly.
We discuss it regularly.
Yeah.
We keep an eye out for bad things that they're doing and analyze them and do kind of a cost value.
I mean, there's also something that we are currently drafting, which is the guide for the usage of the Kubernetes IO Twitter account, and part of this also involves like reaction and interaction of the account itself, and there basically in the draft it is stated that there is no interaction whatsoever. It's like we just use it as an output channel, but there's no comment. There will be no comments. There will be no
Replies,
replies
discussion.
or stuff like this. It's just like this is the news and it's out. There's no interaction.
So as a follow-up question, to avoid the scenario of moving goalposts, have we established any criteria around this is the line in the sand that we will not cross?
I've considered it, and I think any document along those lines would be very difficult to craft in a way that is useful and enforceable. I think
Fair.
that if you were to try to do that, you could draw a lot of lines. They would not make a
Yes.
solid line.
It would be dotted and some places paisley. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if I've been an advocate for getting off of Twitter, I will not claim to be able to
Yeah. Same,
Yeah.
Josh. Sad,
Fair.
sad, same. Yeah.
predict what sort of craziness is coming next there. Whatever.
We are all patiently waiting for a sale. All
And
right.
it's also a combination of factors. Like they'll do one bad thing here, but like how it affects everything else, consideration. So
Mhm.
it's very difficult to draw a straight line.
All right. I gotta jump. Sorry, y'all.
Thank you for joining. Any other questions, comments, discussion for comms? All right. Thank you very much. Looking forward to implementing that messages of the week concept. Let's move on to the next item in our agenda, which is contributor documentation. I don't know if anyone here has anything there, but anyone have anything on contributor documentation?
Nothing
would
new since
also-
last meeting.
Cool. This could also include Kades.dev stuff if there's anything there. But yeah, I would expect nothing new. Cool. We will move on then. Moderation and media. Any updates there? We did have Nigel. Looks like we lost him. Any other updates though for moderation and media, Zoom, Slack, YouTube stuff?
No, just my usual of explaining to other people who make requests exactly what we can't do in Zoom. Zoom has started annoyingly suggesting plugins that are not installed in a new way. We've had some complaints about that. But nothing we can do anything about. Not Zoom, sorry, Slack.
Okay. Both of those are weird. But anyway.
Yeah, basically, particularly Slack has started suggesting some kind of AI plugin, even though it's not installed and the mods have blocked it.
In what way does it suggest it?
When you're preparing a response or something, it asks you whether or not you want to use this plugin. It doesn't do it all the time, and we're not sure exactly what triggers it. It may, in fact, be triggered by something on the user's computer. Because I haven't seen it personally, but we've gotten several reports. So it's affecting a bunch of people.
Interesting. I had not heard
Yeah.
about that. And then start to type even though they don't have the plugin. Interesting. Noted. Any other questions, comments, discussion on moderation and media? All right, then. We will move on to the next thing then, I think. I don't think I have anything in those realms either. GitHub management. Does anyone have any GitHub management updates? I would imagine they do those more in the APAC meeting, since several of the folks who work on that are there. Cool. If no one in our meeting has any updates for GitHub management, we'll move on to the next one, which is quite active, elections.
I don't think, are any of the EOs here?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
So for the elections, in case you missed it, the election cycle has started, which means an announcement requesting people to submit their candidate profiles to nominate themselves, or with coordination with the candidate themselves, nominate others. To date, that was a week ago, and we don't have any candidates yet. If you know somebody who has talked about running for steering before, or is or you think would be good on steering, please reach out to them and give them a little nudge. We have 3 steering members who are cycling off to replace, and it would be great if people could run. I mean, I think the big problem is it's August.
Yeah, it's been open for a week and it closes pretty quick, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, in the past, generally people submit their profiles 2 times, right? You get 2 or 3 people submitting profiles right when we announce the beginning of elections, because they were planning on running, and as soon as it's open, they submit. And then a bunch of people who submit their profiles in the 2.5 days before it closes. We did not get anybody on the day that we announced. So I'm saying, if you were thinking of running for steering and you didn't think that you were a competitive candidate before, this might be the election for you.
I know of at least one person that said he wanted to run, and I just need to push him.
Okay.
I also know of one person. It's me. I need to get on that. Any questions, comments about the election? I also talked with Bridget a little bit in the Chairs and TLs meeting about doing some more comms on it. I know that I kind of almost even missed the election opening. It's kind of hard to get people's attention these days, especially with all that's going on with social media. We should probably do something on there. I guess I should put that as a note. No, I shouldn't. I should just talk with Bridget about it. Cool.
Yeah.
So
Which actually brings up another part of my thinking about having the message of the week thing.
Mhm.
Which is, like, maybe not the minutes, but maybe a separate section on the top of the comms team minutes where people could drop things in as well, rather than sending them by Slack, which is the current practice, and sometimes results in things getting missed.
I mean, they're always welcome to. We have many discussions about how people can ask for work from us. Slack,
Yeah.
GitHub issue. We're working on updating that template. Specifically, Mario was working on updating that template. Folks
Yeah,
are
the
always
pull request,
welcome to.
the
Go
pull
ahead.
request is open. Please just review it last time and merge it. It's ready to be merged.
If you want reviews on it, if you could grab the link real quick and share it.
Let me. I posted it in the ContribEx comms channel.
I added that in the notes in the com section. Perfect. I'll add the link. I think kind of an issue there is that we don't normally talk about what comms are coming up in the next week. We normally talk about things kind of on a project basis. Like we have a section that's like free-form discussion at the beginning, and then we go through the task flow board of things that are active. But there's never a point where we do that, where we talk about like, here are the comms that are coming out in the next week. They just come up as we go through the projects. So reorganizing things so that we talk about it as a item in the open discussion section at the beginning of the meeting is what we're going to try. And I think that will be very helpful. Cool. And with that, if there are no other questions about elections that come to mind, we are done with our agenda. So open mic discussion. Anything that we've talked about today that folks want to discuss further, or anything that folks want to bring up? Now is your opportunity.
Well, we for SIG etcd, we're actually in the process of analyzing the operator user survey, so that we can set a spec for the new the operator to be developed by working group etcd operator. So it was a fairly interesting set. We got 52 responses to the survey, but 10 of them needed to be thrown out. And this is my suggestion, by the way, for like all SIGs or anybody else who are doing surveys. Please work with somebody, me, Sophia, if she's around, someone else, to do a little bit of data analysis, because we did a survey and we found out 20% of the responses were unusable. And if you just go by the graphs that are produced by Google Forms, they would be misleading for that reason.
Did you say there were 30? How many responses?
52 responses, 10 were unusable,
52.
so 42 usable responses.
Gotcha.
I'm going to give an example of one of the responses I had to throw out. Somebody listed off their priorities for an etcd operator, but then said they wouldn't use one even if it was available. So I'm like, okay, this person is not part of our target audience, and therefore we don't care what their priorities are. But it'll be pretty good, and we'll be able to actually set a bunch of priorities by that mechanism. I think
Did he freeze? I think he froze. Unfortunate.
Or he's just thinking really hard.
Something like that. Working group etcd operator is very new, so interesting to hear more about how that work is going. I don't know if he's going to come back. Any questions, comments, or discussion on that or anything else? We'll wait.
Related to his comments about surveys, the non-code group, which has been working on survey creation for a while to try and get it out to people, is almost done, which I think I've said a couple of times over the past couple months. But we are really close to sending out our first batch of surveys to a handful of volunteer SIGs to get their feedback before we send it out to all the SIGs in a much larger broadcast fashion. We're debating whether we want to socialize it through Slack or if we want to try and send it out to the leads list, or how we want to do that interaction when we send it out to the SIGs at large. So we'll probably be back here looking for additional guidance once we get to that point after we've gone through our first iteration of getting feedback.
All right. Comms can help.
Awesome.
I also think that I actually took that preliminary survey for you last week before.
Possible. Very likely.
Yeah. I gave some feedback on it and then she asked me more questions and I didn't say anything else. I should go back to that.
Oh, she'll be reaching out to you.
Perfect. Cool. So I look forward to seeing that. Anything else folks want to discuss? If not, we'll end a few minutes early. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. We'll see you all on Slack. And I will go ahead and stop the recording. Bye, friends on YouTube.